Does that work?
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the Ohio State head women's ice hockey coach, Nadine Muzerall. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to coach in college ice hockey?
I was blessed with the opportunity to play myself for 4 years at the University of Minnesota. It was a highlight of my life, great memories, being a competitive athlete. You're playing at the pinnacle of your sport. And I just wanted to continue that passion. How many people can say that they actually love their job and love driving to their office every day, and still being able to have that fight and that compete on the weekends makes the week exciting leading into that. So I grew up with sports my whole life. I married an athlete. It's all around us. And so I'm just very lucky that, I get to continue the path that I was on and then open up opportunities as one of a very few that are head coaches that are women, and continue to pave that path for the next generation and make their opportunities better.
What was your college playing career like at Minnesota Golden Gophers?
Oh yeah, cold, right? It's very cold, wind chill, very cold, but the memories were warm. Had a great coach, Laura Halderson. She was a pioneer in our sport, creating so many opportunities for young women. And then, making great friends. Most of my friends are from Minnesota. They don't tend to leave Minnesota regardless of the weather. And it was really nice because you had a home away from home because all of their family members were still in the area. So if you wanted to have a nice home cooked meal, get out of the dorm, you had that opportunity. We were very good. That always helps too when you're winning and producing. So I actually chose Minnesota over a lot of other East Coast teams because I was going to be part of the inaugural season, and I really wanted to help build a program and not just be another number on a team. So I went to Minnesota, and then in our third year, we won a national championship. So just really have a lot of great memories with friends there and with the coaching staff.
Of course, what was it like winning the national championship as a player?
Again, a highlight of my life, besides being married and having children, having those athletic accomplishments is right up there. I think people don't understand how hard it is. They see a lot of it, but they only see the games. They don't see the behind the scenes of the everyday of a grind of what it really is to get to that level. You just see the sports. You don't see everything else that we're doing to prepare for it. How you have to balance your academics. You're very involved in the community. And it wasn't just the sport that you were there for, right? So especially for women, we know one day soon after college, your career is over. So you have to prepare for life. And it was ultimate glory to win and call yourself the best of the best. And it was especially important because it was the first for that school. And we take a lot of pride in that and forever cherish that memory.
What was it like putting on that Golden Gophers jersey?
Well, again, a huge honor. You're one of the first to be wearing that jersey. I was the only Canadian for the first 3 years. They didn't really need to recruit too much outside of Minnesota. And it was just honor. They took care of you. Hockey was very much respected in Minnesota. Like I said earlier, hockey was king there. And, to do it in front of fans that absolutely adored you and were so committed to you. It was a really, really great opportunity and very grateful for it.
How did it feel to obviously get the opportunity to coach at your alma mater of Minnesota?
Well, it made recruiting easier because you were just speaking the truth of your experience and why you liked, the school that you went to. Why did you choose it? And again, it wasn't really recruiting at Minnesota as it was more selecting, because kids in Minnesota grew up there and they wanted to be a Gopher when they were younger, and it just made it a little more personal to speak about your institution because you went there and you could on the tours, tell them of the cool spots or the traditions or the memories that, a coach who didn't go there and have boots on the ground every day wouldn't know that.
What was it like coaching in Europe for the Sweden national championship?
Oh, just so you know, I played, but it was in Switzerland, just so you know. Playing overseas was a really cool experience. Like I said, when you're done playing college, if you have the opportunity to represent your country's colors on the national stage, you take that. But if you don't have a career or a great job opportunity, I've strongly encouraged our young athletes to go over to Europe. They treat you well, they pay well, they hook you up with a car and a place to live. And there's some really good hockey over in Europe, and they're trying to grow that game even more. It's pretty established on the men's side, but it's catching up on the women's side too, with the growth of the game for young women. But it wasn't just the hockey piece, because the NCAA is going to be the best that you're ever going to have in terms of competition, but it's pretty solid. But it was, you could go to England for 30 francs. I was in Switzerland. You could go to Paris and be on the Eiffel Tower. You could drive to Rome in 5 hours. It was just unbelievable. And those are memories that you cherish forever, and opportunities you don't get anywhere else.
Of course, what was it like leaving your alma mater to go to Ohio State to become the head coach?
You know what? I didn't really know too much about the Ohio State athletic department. I married a man that played football in the Big Ten. And when Ohio State was calling me, he simply said, "Are you out of your mind? This is the Ohio State. It doesn't get any bigger than this." And I remember saying, "Yeah, but their women's hockey program is not well respected community in women's hockey." And he just said, "Go change it." And so, like anything else, I do like that challenge, and I do like to grow and establish things and put my own spin on it. And, I very much respect my husband and my mom. My mom lives with us, and she helps a lot with our 2 kids, because I had a 2-year-old and a 5-month-old at the time when Ohio State called. And, all of our friends, my husband played in Minnesota, all of our friends were in that area. So it was at times it felt like it was going to be a tough decision. And then at times it seemed like a no-brainer. At Minnesota, although grateful that I had 5 years and learned a lot there, I kind of hit my ceiling, where I knew the coaches weren't leaving anytime soon. So I wanted to grow more. And this was an opportunity. I'm not going to lie and say I wasn't nervous, because I was. You're not going to coach hockey at another school that might be D2 or D3 that has a Division I program. You're going to the pinnacle of athletics to coach hockey and change a program that had been broken. I was the 3rd coach in 3 years, so a lot of people might have ran from that phone call. But Diana Sabo, who was my athletic director, she just left last year to go be the deputy commissioner at the Big Ten. And she guided and molded me. She was very inspirational for me, very educational for me, and helped hold my hand through the process. And I think grew me into a better coach, not just meaning on the ice, but the coach is like a huge umbrella of things that we do. And she helped me see and understand the administrative side.
Can you talk about, of course, that culture that you rebuilt for the Ohio State to what they are known now?
Brandon, you got 5 days? Just kidding. The first year, I would say that was more observing and learning about the athletes and about the Ohio State and its tradition. And I wanted to protect that tradition, but I also wanted to change it. They didn't have, the girls hockey program didn't have that winning mindset. And it wasn't their fault. They just didn't really know any better, right? They're often below 500 or around 500. And so, when alums would come back, they loved the Ohio State and they loved the athletic department, and they had a lot of pride, right? Who doesn't have pride when your football team is winning all the time, your basketball team, like the high profile sports in the news are doing extremely well. but they didn't necessarily have a lot of pride in their hockey program because they weren't as successful. So now you have alums coming back all the time. It keeps expanding the growth of how many alums come back because of their pride to say that they're a women's hockey player or an ex-women's hockey player. And after that first year, I just had to blow it up and change things. And I worked with a Navy SEAL with a program called Focus 3. And he's an active Navy SEAL. And we just talked about things that I believe in and things that, I want to see change. And through those beliefs, what are the outcomes going to be? And what are the behaviors to get those outcomes? And so we created a culture/coaches blueprint. And I had to put it into a language that they understood and that they would buy into. And, the first year and some part of the second year, I had to police everything. It was exhausting. And then once you started to see the reward of them buying in to our program, then I could step back and the captains took over it. And then when you started to win, they started to believe. And now they have this trust and respect in me and each other. And it just became a unified front. And now it's just the expectation of excellence. And if anything, the bar just gets higher.
What is it like as a coach to obviously compete and go to the Frozen Four?
It's pretty sweet. Again, it goes back to your question of what it's like to win a national championship. Just the grind and how much that these athletes put in. I don't think people understand that hockey is the longest continuous sport in the NCAA. So we can start September 17th or 18th that weekend. And we go every weekend with a game. That's until March 25th. So that's a long season. And if you're good, you're usually, going to the end. And that's what you strive for. You have that in the background, like this is where our final destination is, and this is what we want to get there. But you have to have little goals to get to that big goal. You can't just look at the big picture. You have to take into consideration week by week planning, game by game planning. And then, you have some of these moments where season seems long. And then as a coach, which is great because me and my two assistants and my director of ops, we all played at the University of Minnesota and one played at Duluth. And we all have had our boots on the ground and understand what that looks like. So I think when you have coaches that can relate to you and then understand, okay, it's around Thanksgiving, things start to seem longer, daylight savings. So we can help plan the season a little bit better because we've walked the walk and lived in those shoes. But to actually play at the Frozen Four, when you finally get there, it's just it's magnified. It's so glorious. And, you have to try to control their energy and their nerves. So it's a little different piece of coaching. It's not the physical side. Now it's the emotional and mental side. And, we've been there a few times and that used to be our bar. That used to be what we wanted to do, was to get to the Frozen Four. And now it's got to be more than that. Now our goal is to win it all.
What is it like, obviously, to compete against the teams that are in your conference, like Michigan?
Like what, sorry?
Like Michigan.
Oh, we don't play Michigan. We play Minnesota and we play Wisconsin.
What is it like to compete against those teams like Wisconsin that are in your conference?
We our league is one of the toughest in the country, with having 19 of the last 22 national championships, and speaks volumes when you have to play them weekend after weekend. And, in our league, we'll play each other 4 times minimum. And then if you're good, you keep playing against each other. So you can play a top team 5-6 times in 1 year. Out East, they might play each other 1 time. And so I think that that's why we win so many national championships in our conference, because we constantly are beating each other up and making each other better. And so although it's a tough schedule, it's the schedule that you want when you're going down the end of the road.
What does the recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes looking to play college ice hockey?
You know what, with social media nowadays and just how advanced technology is, these young girls that are in, 8th, 9th, 10th grade, they have opportunities to watch games online, live stream, sometimes on the Big Ten Network. And so they can become a little bit more familiar of the hockey program and what they like about that program. And then again, with the game growing so much in America, that they are able to get out and watch, the girls play live too. And so again, with the internet and technology, like I said before, they're able to get on Google and search about the schools and the academic programs and the community and opportunities that the school can have before even talking to the coach. And so I think, young girls and parents are becoming more educated about narrow their search down before the process even starts. If they're doing that, they should be. So I think the process is way different than it is when I was being recruited, right? You're not as prepared, and you go on your visits, which is nice because these young girls have the same opportunities that I did of going on 5 official visits and checking out schools and making sure that it's the right fit. It can look different on paper, right? When you're reading about it, now you have to walk around and actually physically see the campus and meet the team and meet the staff.
Of course, what are some of the things that you look at in those recruits when you're out on visits going to see those players?
Sure, good question. We at the Ohio State have a holistic approach. Obviously we're going to see them as an athlete. We're going to know their quality as a player. But we do a lot of research too, like talking to their coaches and finding out what their character is like. Are they a team player? What are they like, towards the end of the season, in the beginning of the season when it's hard? How are their academics? And then you watch them. Sometimes I'll often sit behind their bench so I can watch them when they get off, how they talk to their teammates, how they are receptive to their coaches, looking at them in the eye. So I have a little bit more of an old school mind frame about certain things like that. And that's respecting your coaches and your players. And that does go a long way because no doubt when you come here, we're going to make you a better player, but you have to have the character traits too, to work, because we work real hard here. And, the big thing too is that we're not going to have one person think that they're bigger than the team. So you could be a great hockey player, but if you're not a good teammate and a prima donna, we're not going to take you no matter how good you are. So all those qualities of you as a person are just as important as you as a player.
What does the official visit look like for prospective student athletes looking to go to Ohio State?
Fun, right? Sometimes we try to get them in the fall and take them to a football game and let them see what athletics really looks like here, because you know what, there's not another institution in the country that could probably showcase athletics like we can, especially with the women's hockey team, because Michigan doesn't have a women's hockey team, either does Alabama, either does Clemson, LSU. So all those big schools that have great football programs. And really, football's huge in college sports. And so if you're an athlete, you're going to be bedazzled by that, right? And so we happen to have one of the best football programs in the country that also has a women's hockey team. And so we are very much appreciative of that, as we know that they feed all the other sports. And so kids that come from, Europe might not know that as much, and whether they love football or not, they just love the ambiance and everything that's going on around it. And what it really showcases, Brandon, is just school pride, right? Like when you're on campus at the Ohio State, you don't see any other color than scarlet and gray. When I was at Minnesota, you would see like Michigan, Iowa, Wisconsin sweatshirts. There just wasn't that sense of pride. I've been here on my 6th season. I've never seen another school's sweatshirt walking around campus. And so I think that that's something that prospective student athletes notice right away. We also get them involved with every staff member that touches our program. So they'll sit down and have one-on-ones with academic advisors, nutritionists, strength and conditioning, medical. And then of course we show them the facilities, we show them the resources that we are able to provide them that most cannot touch. And usually we get them because they want to be a part of all of it. But at the end of the day, the biggest thing that we show them is the opportunities that we provide for them for life after. That's one thing I haven't heard too many schools doing. When I was at the University of Minnesota, although a great experience, yeah, you win your national championships, thank you very much. But now what, right? Like, what do I do now? And that's where I think Jean has done a fantastic job with McKenna, who works here in our athletic department, of growing our leadership program and giving kids opportunities for leadership, but also for internships. Because at the end of the day, your day is over as an athlete. Whatever day that is, it is going to happen. So what are you going to do with the rest of your life? So when you pick a school, you're not picking it for 4 years, you're picking it for 50 years. And what is that school going to do to provide you the best opportunity for life after?
Of course, as head coach, what is it like seeing those players wear that scarlet red jersey?
Yeah, we actually have sometimes a moment of silence in the locker room before they get onto the ice, and we don't even let them put their jerseys on. We have the jerseys, obviously, with the brand up. So you got the logos looking right at you. And we just tell them to stare at it and think why they're grateful to put that jersey on. Just don't, like you're going to your closet and putting a sweatshirt on to go outside. This is a moment where you're chosen to be here. And a lot of other girls want to be here and they don't get that opportunity, but you did. So let's not forget that and look at your jersey. So they take a moment and remember that and reflect.
What advice would you give those future college hockey players looking to play college after their high school career?
Number one, make sure your academics are good, because honestly, you're not going to get in if not. Sometimes people think, oh, Ohio State, it's all athletics. It's like an average ACT score for incoming freshmen is 30. And so it's hard to get in here. It's not granted and guaranteed. So make sure your academics are good. So that way you have an opportunity to choose where you want to go. And I would just say, for them, continue to do all the little things right, even when nobody's watching, because it will make you a better athlete, because you will be appreciative and respectful. And, again, hockey's growing so much. It's one of the fastest growing sports in America for young girls, I think, with lacrosse and field hockey. And you got to work for it. You know what I mean? Nothing's given. We're all replaceable. And so at the end of the day, you gotta keep out there and you got to keep working and keep dreaming at the same time. Feel confident that you can do it, but it's going to require work, and that no one's going to give you anything. You're going to have to take it. So stay competitive.
What advice would you give those college hockey players looking to go from playing college hockey to professionally in the PHF or the PWHPA?
You know what I mean? For me, I think if you're just doing the right things in college, you're going to get recognized and noticed because they're watching you. And I often have coaches call me about our players. And to be honest, it's an opportunity to continue to play. It's not there yet where you can make a career out of it, but it's trying to grow. I mean, even the NHL took a while. It started with 6 teams and was 6 teams for a long time. So we're there. In that aspect of teams, but financially they're not there yet. So for me, yeah, you can continue to play at the next level of professional, but you're still going to need another job for financial security. So I think anybody that's pretty good in the NCAA will be just fine for that next stage of their life.
What advice would you give those future college coaches looking to get started in the industry?
You know what? I think that's a good question. I think it's really empowering for people to create a network and then reach out to other coaches. I know that my door is always open to have communications with coaches, give them opportunities to be educated on the process and how to get involved and get, started in coaching. A lot of it is just networking, maybe some previous coaches that you worked with or previous coaches that you played for. Usually the network's pretty small within your sport. And so I think that that's a big piece is networking, but then also understanding it looks nice to be a head coach or a coach institution such as the Ohio State, but it is a grind. It's a lot. There is a high demand of excellence for athletics here. And, it's 6 days a week, and even 7. I'm often not home on Sundays either. You're giving up birthday parties for your kids. You're giving up missing anniversaries. Sometimes got to leave earlier for Christmas. I mean, it's hard to juggle the family life with the career, but it can be done. But it's not all glory sometimes too, right? It's hard work. And they just have to understand that when they want to start this process. It is a great opportunity, but it does require a lot of time and work.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the Ohio State ice hockey program?
Yeah, I don't do social media. I'm old school. I'm very private, but they can follow our hockey program on Instagram and Twitter. And then, of course, our own page that we have here at The Ohio State.
Thank you again, Coach Nadine, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
Hey, thanks, Brandon, so much. I appreciate you and your time. Good luck with your podcast.
Thank you. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
Thank you, Brandon. Have a good day.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.